All right, we've all had our fun making fun of BLM these past few months. We know they're hypocrites, we know they're inconsistent, we know they don't care about every single black life that is taken unjustly. They only care about the ones that fit their narrative of the evil white man and the evil white cop. But you would think at least if somebody was coming with constant legitimate criticism about this organization, somebody in there would stand up and say, nah, wait a minute, this is what we're trying to do. We're actually trying to do these things one by one, bit by bit, and making sure that people see us as legitimate. All these things that we're buying that people are criticizing us for, we're actually doing this to help people. We're doing this, and here's the proof of all of this. But every single time somebody speaks up in behalf of that organization, they put their foot in their mouth each time, and it allows people like me to criticize them further. Case in point, BLM leader addresses reports about the purchase of the $6 million mansion property. Recent reports about the $6 million Southern California compound purchased by the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, that is a mouthful, raised eyebrows among the organization's supporters and served as fodder for flames lit by its detractors. The 6,500 square foot studio home features 7 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, soundstage, music studio, pool, and parking for more than 20 cars. Now, before I continue reading, can anybody answer me this question? What could this mansion that has 7 bathrooms, 7 bedrooms, and a soundstage, and a fucking pool, and a music studio benefit the black community in what shape or form? It was purchased in October of 2020, remember that, with the support of Diane Pascal, a black real estate expert, and bought after the organization received a $90 million windfall in the wake of Minneapolis police officers' murder of George Floyd in May of 2020. Remember that too. In a roundtable with members of the black press, Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors, former head of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, addressed the purchase of the home and how reports about it have impacted their security and that of the organization. Cullors began remarks by clarifying the 3 arms of the Black Lives Matter ecosystem. There are 3 organizations. There's Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, which I am the former executive director of. There's a Black Lives Matter PAC, which endorses candidates and policy. And then there's BLM Grassroots, that was really founded from the chapters. Cullors acknowledged that the financial windfall the organization received in 2020 was the most it ever had, because why the fuck would anybody donate to you when you don't really do anything to help people? Previous operating costs and expenses, she noted, came from small individual donors. With the money that came in, she maintained it was really important for us to do a number of things. 1, get that money on the ground and get those resources to the ground, which we did, but also secure a space like so many other organizations, not just across the black movement, but across non-organizations too. With Pascal's help, BLM GNF found and purchased the compound, on which they began renovations. Cullors said that immediately after the purchase, senior members of the organization received death threats, including herself. She says she was contacted by the FBI about a credible threat to her life and that she stayed at the compound for 4 nights during that investigation. She said she's not been back in nearly a year. In editing this video and rehearing myself read that part of the article, I have a question. For 2 years, nobody knew about this mansion because they thought it would be a good idea to renovate it and rebuild it so that when the time comes that we have to announce that instead of doing things that would actually benefit the black community, we spent money on a mansion so that a bunch of black content creators can be failed YouTubers. How did it get out enough for certain individuals to start sending death threats? I'm not going to sit here and say they're not real. I'm just saying, who knew about this to start spreading it around to the point where the FBI is trying to make sure that you're okay and not publicly being threatened or potentially being threatened by anybody? Because if that's the spin you want to play, you need to make sure that whoever is in that organization is not somebody working against you. I just want to say that there's going to be at least 5 of you that are going to comment, oh, they didn't go through anything. How dare they sit there and say that? And let's pretend for a moment that they did. What is sending death threats going to do? What is that going to accomplish? If you're somebody who legitimately has a problem with Patrisse Cullors and the Black Lives Matter organization, and you think they're a scam, and you think they're con artists, and you think they're all pieces of shit, what is sending them death threats going to accomplish? I'll answer that, teacher. Nothing, because you're not doing anything. All you're doing is writing some weird letter saying, oh, I hate you, I'm going to end your life. How dare you sit there? You look more like a loser than they do, because at least they're sitting there having to deal with it while you're bitching, writing letters thinking you fought against them when all they've done since is continue to scam a bunch of people out of money. Securing a black space is neither a crime nor a hustle. That is really important for you all to understand, especially as there is a long legacy of black people securing and wanting to secure land and property, especially when it comes to organizations. We want to see Black Lives Matter exist for a very long time. We want to see the legacy of it exist for a very long time. And there's so many other legacy organizations that have their own buildings, and because it's part of that legacy, I would just like to say, if you're trying to get some space to hold meetings, to have counseling sessions, to sit there and actually progress and figure out what's the next step to help the black community, I'm all fine with that. But this $6 million mansion was not purchased for that. You specifically pointed out how this was made or purchased for content creation, to help people on the ground sit there and be great YouTube stars, because you think that is going to benefit the black community. 10-minute videos where people are putting on makeup, reviewing food, sitting there talking about their daily life, or sharing the experience of being in the Black Lives Matter mansion is not going to help the organization. It's not going to help black people who are struggling. It's not going to help people understand that a black life matters in times where you believe every single black life is in fear of being hunted by the police and the police only, because none of you motherfuckers want to stand up when it's a black person taking out a black person. I know I keep making that point, but I have to, because if you're somebody, I don't care what skin color you are, I don't care what your political beliefs are, if you are going to sit there, whether if you support the organization or not, if you say Black Lives Matter, but you have to put an asterisk on that when it's a black person taking out a black person, and you don't talk about it, you don't march in the streets, you don't hold up signs, you don't put up no hashtags, you don't riot, you don't loot, you don't do none of that shit when it's black on black, but you only stand for when it's a white cop or a white person as the perpetrator, you are a hypocrite. You only do the dance when it's convenient for you to do the dance. You post these black squares and think you're the greatest hero of all time. You are fucking embarrassing. And it's sad that after all these years of this organization being around, we still have the same problems that a lot of people don't want to address. You got people who think it's perfectly fine for a black person to do some weird illegitimate act because, oh, we don't understand the plight of all black people.
They never called the police.
Stop there. You got robbed, stabbed, shot at.
It never called the police.
Wait, by who?
Blacks.
So why you still love blacks so much?
Because I understand the condition of us black folks.
So you...
That is the dumbest fucking argument I've ever made, and what makes it worse is you got black and white people saying dumb shit like that. I want to end on this point because sometimes you'll run into people who can't take criticism, and they're prominent figures. There are people who would end up on TV and they'll say things to make it seem like, oh, there's a big conspiracy against us because of the color of our skin or what we got between our legs. But in reality, it's just you being dumb and you trying to find anything to throw at the wall and hope it sticks. Somebody at this meeting, this call, whatever this was, decided it would be a wise idea to say, and I quote, I think the most important point is that those media sources have attempted to create the impression that the Black Lives Matter is not interested in creating and helping to create the possibilities for a better world. It is not interested in abolishing the institutions of violence and racism that have caused so much pain and suffering over so many decades and centuries, but rather is only interested in self-aggrandizement, and that makes no sense at all. It makes perfect sense because you're sitting there, you're having all these nice meetings to talk about the criticism you're getting. You got Patrice Cullors saying, oh, I was expecting all the evil right-wingers to speak on me, but I was taken aback by being a black woman and being criticized by fellow black people. No shit, because when you're an organization that claims to care about black lives and you sit there and make the argument that you care about every black life and you claim the only thing that's affecting a black life is all the institutional racism, when you got people who look like me, who have this same skin color as me, who do harm to other people with this same skin color as me, and you don't acknowledge it. You have dumbasses who support your movement saying it's conservative talk, and you can't sit here and honestly say you are about the peace. You're not about sitting here and only interested in your self-interest. You are not playing the game how you think you are. I'm here to enlighten you on that. I'm a black man. I'm part of that poor, indiscriminate group that you think is hunted by black and white cops all day. We're not. I know you think that you have everything about black people figured out. You don't. We're all different. We all don't think we're weak. We don't have this victim mentality. And it's a real shame that an organization that has all this money coming in and claims that they bought this mansion in October of 2020, but they claim to also be financially insolvent or not being able to have their debts paid, is still able to buy a fucking $1 million mansion in the same year. But since y'all like to keep getting fucked, since y'all enjoy that, since y'all like people lying in front of y'all face, continue to throw money at them. Continue to do everything in your power to make it seem like they're doing the right thing. Because when this cycle repeats itself again and we have the same issues and we got the same people in suits saying the same things and not doing nothing, eventually it's gonna bite you in the ass. But until then, I hope you enjoy living in hypocrisy. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.